Hi there,
Hi, everyone.
Melanie. Wherever you are, it's warm. There's
Just a
different.
virtual backdrop. I
You
needed it to be bright and sunny. I'm so over the cold.
Hey, Bob,
Yes,
I have a question for you. Um, I don't know if it's called a citizen's petition, but I would like to add an article to the warrant. Can I do that?
you you can. I believe the deadline has passed, though. I
Oh,
believe the
shoot.
deadline was the 30th of January,
Oh,
actually.
I was going to ask about that. I just looked on Allison's schedule of things to ahead and I didn't see it, so no wonder.
I've got to
It
be.
was going to be what I was going to ask was what I was going to propose was a shorter time limit on the open mic speakers.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
But
Well, I just admitted Allison, so
okay, all right.
wow, we've got like almost a full house here. This is awesome. I don't know who Rob is. Who is
I
Rob?
was going to ask.
Rob Tibbo,
Oh, welcome.
Hey Rob,
glad to
hello,
be here.
hello.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
All right.
There we go.
Let me see here. I know Allison. Well, Deborah, ask Allison your question, or ask Allison and Rob your question, actually. You got the two experts here.
Oh, don't do that to me.
Oh, you know what an expert is, don't you?
Deborah, I think you're on mute.
Oh, Allison, yeah, there we
I
go.
was on mute. Yes, I think the answer is no, according to the schedule that Bob just mentioned to me. But is it too late to draft a warrant, an article for the warrant? I missed the deadline, didn't I?
A citizen's petition, yeah, they were due on January 31st.
Oh gosh. Okay. Okay. Next year.
Sorry. We did receive two citizens petitions,
I,
so
s- right, I saw that. Yeah.
Are we allowed to ask you to tell us what it was going to be about?
I don't know why not. It was
So
going to be a proposal that the time limit be shorter on the speakers at the open mic, at the mic.
that's really important. Is there some way we could work that in as an administrative whatever?
we could.
Citizens petition.
It wouldn't have to be a citizen's petition. I might be in favor of that.
What what
I'm
could we,
all for it. Do we really need a warrant for that? Warrant article?
To
Yeah,
change a
because it's in
bylaw.
the
It's
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 in the charter, I think.
Oh, okay.
So it'd be a charter change. Let me research that, Deborah, and get back to
Okay.
you.
Thank
'Cause
you. I just, as an added tidbit, I spoke with a person who I can't name, who is very involved in this, who felt that this was a good idea. I can't name this person because they can't officially weigh in.
Well, thank that person for me, please.
I will.
we take a look at that.
Okay, thanks, Allison.
Hmm.
I'm very glad I asked.
I am too, actually.
As am I.
And Allison, I've heard that maybe Marblehead or some other towns, they have much shorter.
Yeah, they do.
The
Um,
person, the
I
person,
also don't know if it's part of their charter like it is here. Like I think they just in Marblehead, I think they just limit it. I don't know if there's an amount of time. So
the interested party that I spoke with favored something as brief as 3, 4, or 5 minutes. And access to the mic 2 times, I think, rather than 3 by one person. There were some other details, but anyway.
Yeah, I'll take a look to see how it reads. And then I can draft something and then I could put it before the Board of Selectmen first, because they open and close the warrant several times, through this
Oh,
budget cycle. So
okay, thanks, Allison.
Great idea, Deborah. I'd support 3 minutes.
Yeah,
Do it fast.
we'd love, oh, am I talking on?
Yep,
you're,
yep.
we can hear you.
Yeah, recommendations would be appreciated as far as what the time limit might look like.
I will. I have a couple of other things suggested also by this party that I thought were interesting, so I will mention that.
What are some of the others, seeing as this one was so good?
Yeah.
Well, it was, let me look and see exactly what the wording was. I don't want to misrepresent them. So I'll get back to you next time.
Okay.
There's 2 more people in the waiting room. I'm struggling here. My mouse has decided to not mouse right now. Okay. I think I admitted Ed Locke twice. He's listed twice. All right, so it is what, 6:35 in the evening on Thursday, February the 12th. Right? Yeah. There is a quorum of the Finance Committee, so call the meeting to order. So present from the Finance Committee, Bob Vanderslice, Barbara Beatty, Dan McMacken, Deborah Warren, Alex Kent, Dana, and Melanie. And we are joined by Allison and Rob and Ed Locke, if I can admit him here. He's stuck on joining. I don't know.
He's on right now. I can see him.
All right, well, there's another Ed Locke that's somehow trapped in the waiting room reading all those stale dated magazines.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. It's like in a loop there, Bob, and can you hear me? I
Yeah.
turned it off and got back in. I apologize if it's
Okay, no worries. All right, so as soon as I can figure out how to share my screen without a mouse. Share. Share. Okay, I think I'm sharing a screen. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Roger.
Okay. All right, so this is kind of, oh, it's not a touch screen over there. Ooh, this is going to be really hard now without a mouse. Anyway, so this is our agenda for the evening. We need to elect officers. We haven't done it for a while. We need to talk about the schedule for the upcoming season. And then, Allison, this kind of transitions to you here. We should talk about the override and just so everybody is clear exactly what the override is and exactly what the process for hopefully achieving that override is. And then wait, it's working again. There we go. And then the budget overview that you did for the selectmen the other night, I think would be in order. We could move your budget overview up if you want, so you can get out of here. I think you're going on vacation like tomorrow, aren't you?
Tomorrow's my last day in the office. Yes, I have a lot to do.
Where are you going?
I'm going to Tortola.
Oh, it's
I
beautiful.
Yeah, I go every year with my family,
It's
so
gorgeous. You
Mm.
know that.
very much looking forward to it. But yeah, this week has been I've been working 12 hours days, so
Oh,
I'm tired.
oh,
Okay, all right, so let's do this. Let's kind of cherry pick a couple of things that are like important preambles to your budget overview. So under schedule, let's skip the schedule part of it and just talk quickly about the liaisons. So this is really how we run our budget review process. And basically what we do is we break the budget into these kind of big categories of police, fire, school, DPW, and kind of all of its related pieces, town government, community preservation, culture and recreation. And then I've added this, whatever, this little bit of a catch-all, just some of the articles that wouldn't be covered by these other categories. And to each of the categories, we assign a liaison. So that's the finance committee person that is responsible for that section of the budget. So the liaison is our expert on that particular piece of the budget. And typically the liaisons will go and meet with whoever or whomever, if it's plural, is responsible for that section of the budget so they can get an understanding of what's going on. They can understand what that department wants and needs, which may not be reflected in the budget. So, you may find yourself with a disgruntled department head because some project that's near and dear to them hasn't been included in the budget. So it's the liaison's job to listen and learn and evaluate the budget. And then each of these whatever departments or segments of the budget are invited to come in and review with the finance committee and with the help of the liaison, review with the rest of the finance committee that budget. So does that make sense? And I don't focus so much on who the liaisons are for the time being, just does the process I just described make sense?
Yes, I think it's spot on. I mean, we have a decent track record of doing exactly that. And if individual folks have requests that they be somewhere else, it's always been a great opportunity to work with Barbara on. We sort of work as a team covering police and fire,
Yep.
and I just didn't stick with that. But I think the model and the people, process, procedures is spot on. Let's stick with it. It worked for the last few years.
Yeah, and I'd like to continue, Dan. And I've already started because I've already gone to a meeting with Zibit.
Right.
The most important person in the department, or the most
Yes.
important whatever individual in the department?
Absolutely.
who have you met with, Barbara? I didn't hear.
Zibit.
Oh,
Okay.
Zibit is awesome, truly.
For what it's worth, I already have my Zibit t-shirt.
Oh, I want one. How can I get one?
It's a part of a fundraiser that the police are running, and they're going to be having a night at the Bayside. But I believe if you go on the police website, you'll see links to buy this.
Yeah, it's on
merchandise.
February 20th. Here's Zibit. There's Zibit. And so I'll do that. Great, thanks.
Awesome. On the 20th. All right, I will put that in the calendar. Okay, so we will come back to just confirming who the liaisons are and what the meeting dates look like and all the rest of that. All right. Okay with that? So, all right, so override. Would it be helpful to just talk for like 2 minutes on what the override is? Is everybody kind of okay with what Prop 2.5 is and what an override is and all the rest of that?
Yeah, Bob, this is Dana. Yeah, I think 2 minutes would be fine
I
for
agree.
this.
All right, Allison, keep me honest, or do you want to do it?
You can take a stab if you want.
I can take a stab. All right, I'll take a stab. I don't know how long ago there was a state law passed that's known now as Prop 2.5. And what it basically says is that the town, here's where I kind of get stuck a little bit. The town cannot increase what the amount of money that's raised by property taxes by more than 2.5% per year, with some exceptions, like new growth is excluded from that. What it effectively does is it effectively says that the town's budget cannot grow by more than 2.5% a year because most of the town's revenue comes from property taxes, which by state law can't grow them more than 2.5%, and you have to have a balanced budget. So there you go. Was that reasonably correct, Allison?
Yeah, there's a couple of different kinds of overrides.
Okay, go ahead. That's where I was going next.
Yeah, so and those, an override is one of the ways that you can raise additional money through the tax rate. So one type of override, and the override that I've presented to the board last night, is called an operating override. And so it goes before a town meeting to be voted on, and then it has to go to ballot to be voted on by all residents. But that is to increase the tax base by a certain dollar amount. And then if it's voted on and approved, it then becomes part of the base for each of the following years. There's also a debt override, which the town last used when we had the school construction. And so that the principal and interest payments were raised through the tax rate, and that was in excess of the 2.5%. So those are the kind of two of the reasons, two different types of overrides that the town can take a look at. The thing in Nahant is the school debt override is coming off the books in FY27. So that's now making, a little bit of extra room to consider possibly the operating override. But I can go over, I have that in my presentation.
Go ahead, Dana.
So, Allison, thanks for explaining that part of it, the operating versus debt. I appreciate that. That's good for me. I didn't know that before. So, but the operating override would go to the town election and voted on by the voters.
Yeah, so both types of overrides do go to town voters. So first it has to pass at town meeting, and then it has to go to town voters.
So how would that work in the case where our town election is before the town meeting?
We have to have another election.
After town meeting.
After the town meeting.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's assuming it passes at town meeting.
correct.
And what does it need to pass the town meeting? Simple majority or super majority?
That's a good question. I actually am not 1,000% sure.
Don't know. It's a good question.
Yeah.
But so it has to pass both as a warrant article, and you have to pass the budget that includes that override. So there's kind of like part A and part B at town meeting. You have to pass an article that says we're going to have an operating override in this case. And in the omnibus budget, all the line items have to reflect that new source of revenue. So the line items themselves will be greater to use up the override. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It's almost as though we need two warrants for every spending bit. You know, there must be a way to make this simple. Now, maybe that's a Dan Script question.
I think the simple way is there is an article, and Allison, you got to help me here. There is an article that says we are authorizing an operating override in the amount of whatever it is.
No, so the way that it'll read is it's going to appear under the omnibus. And for each line that I'm proposing in an override scenario to have an increase,
All right.
it'll basically be read, and it depends how we, decide to read it, but say general government budget for FY27 of 1.8 million. And upon the passage of an override, it will be 2 million. So for each of those lines, in the motion, it would have kind of the two scenarios. So it would all appear under the omnibus article.
So it's not a separate article, it's just bundled into the omnibus.
Right. And I'm being told that it's a simple majority for an override to pass at town meeting.
Is the omnibus itself a simple override? Go ahead, Josie.
Hi, everybody. Sorry I'm a bit late. Traffic was bad. I have just a general question for our bylaws. Does the town require the department that's asking for increases to first look for grants and demonstrate that grants are not available to them before they ask for tax increases? Is that
No, that's not a bylaw. No.
No.
Okay. One of the things that I've seen in other towns that I've lived in is that was a requirement of a good faith effort to try to find federal grant or private monies. And I don't see that here. And I know that we have quite a bit of expenses coming up. I'm wondering if part of the voting procedure can be that they first try in good faith to try to find grants within 6 months before we authorize raising of any taxes. I'm wondering.
Thank you, Josie, but the discussion heretofore has been on the override. So I think we should certainly dive into your good idea there. But let's see if we can make some actual progress with Allison getting through this. It's going to be a long discussion on the override.
Right. That's what I was trying to do, to lower
So let's stick to our knitting.
Well, but to be fair, to Josie's point, department heads do constantly look for grants. For this override proposal, a majority of the cost is for personnel, which you're not going to get through a grant. And so that's why, this proposal is on an override. Most grants are not going to fund ongoing personnel costs.
Okay, so is everybody clear on the process of the override? Just, how mechanically or logistically it is accomplished or will be accomplished? Yeah? All right.
Yeah, I'm clear, Bob.
Okay, then Allison,
May I ask one question?
absolutely.
Allison, does the town already know that there's going to be a proposal for an override?
Yeah, it was presented to the Board of Selectmen last night.
Yep.
So that was the first public, I gave a presentation that laid that out. It's basically two budgets. And so that was the first time it was kind of told publicly. Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so which is a perfect segue. Can you just do the presentation you did for the selectmen? I think that's a very structured way of.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sure. All right. Do I have to unshare before you can? Or can
Yeah.
you just grab it from me. There you go.
All right. Can everybody see that?
Can we make the whole thing a little bigger, please?
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in slideshow. Hold
Thanks.
on. Is that better?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So first, I just wanted to give an overview of revenues. Basically, a regular 2.5% increase over the prior tax levy amounts to just over $285,000. I've estimated new growth at around 70,000. It's a conservative number based on an average over the past 10 years that I looked at. Nahant's unique in that we do add a water sewer debt shift. We kind of treat that as like a debt override. We raise that on the tax rate. And we've done that historically for years. So, and that amount is just equal to the principal and interest payments that are due on our outstanding water and sewer loans. So for FY27, it's 1.4 million, which is actually a small decrease from FY26. As I mentioned before, the school debt from the FY 2007 debt override is paid off in FY 27. So in the current fiscal year, we budgeted, as part of the tax rate, it was 295,000. That's coming off. The estimated decrease in the overlay account, I'm estimating a decrease of 10,000. This is just an account that we budget for. That we pay, we cover all abatements and exemptions out of. This is an estimate. It is developed when the tax rate is set, and it's based on, the final calculations of the tax rate. The governor released her budget, and it provides a 2.5% increase in state aid for Nahant, which amounts to $30,000. And then I estimate local receipts fairly conservatively. So local receipts are those things like motor vehicle excise, permit fees, building fees, all those sorts of things. So I'm estimating between a 2.5% and 3% increase, which amounts to $167,000. And then we have a decrease in the use of free cash for capital expenditures from FY26. As you know, free cash is that undesignated fund balance from a prior year that's certified by the Department of Revenue. And you can use it to support one-time expenses. So we usually use it to offset, the capital outlay accounts in the individual department budgets, as well as historically we put it towards larger capital purchases such as a DPW truck or, a vehicle or something like that. For FY26, we had over $800,000 in free cash to use for the FY26 budget. We have 273,000 less for the FY27 budget. So overall, with all of these additions and subtractions, the FY27 revenues is actually a decrease over FY26 of just over $80,000. So
Can I just
yep.
hop in there for a second?
Sure.
Free cash is a weird one. It's not really revenue, but it is money that's available to use, but it's technically not revenue.
Yeah, so it's based on your prior 2 fiscal years. It's when your revenues came in higher than originally projected and your expenditures came in lower than originally budgeted. And you have to go through this calculation with the Department of Revenue, and they certify that, yes, this money is available and you can put it towards costs in a future year. I started the budget process at the end of December, and I sent out templates to department heads. I gave them 3 weeks to complete them. And then I met with each department head over a couple-week period and got all of the requests back. And looking at the revenue projections that we just saw, I knew we weren't going to be able to fund very much. So that's when I decided to put together 2 budgets. One is I'm terming a level services budget, and these are the items that fall within that. So we always look at our contractual obligations. So a level services budget, I've included a 2.5% increase for the DPW, police and fire collective bargaining contracts. FY27 will be the last year of all of those contracts. So I'll be renegotiating those, the beginning of next fiscal year. There's a 3.5% increase in the teacher collective bargaining contract for FY27. And then historically for the non-union, non-contract salaries, we've mirrored what the other town collective bargaining units have received for salary increases. And that's what I've done in this budget too, 2.5%. I also did a 2.5% increase in department utility budgets for electricity and gas, which is historically what we've done. I can tell you that the department budgets for utilities are lower than what's needed. But if you remember, 2 years ago, we established a utility reserve that we budgeted money to. So instead of bumping up every department's individual utility budget, we've just done the 2.5% historic figure. And then if they have any expenditures over their budgeted amounts, they can come to me and I pay the overages out of the utility reserve account. The level services budget, the school department has 2 additional ESPs per special education IEP requirements. And they also have an increase in contracted services to cover the cost of its new special education director. Their special education director retired at the end of last year. And it's a part-time position that they tried to post and were unable to fill. So they are now contracting the services and the cost is much higher than it previously.
Allison, can we even get hard numbers for IEPs? I understand they can be fairly variable.
Yes, they are. So the ESPs, these are just paraprofessionals that are in the classroom per the IEPs for the students. So these are actual people. The cost of, we outplace some special education students and things like that. That's all built into the budget as well. As you can see in the next line. I don't know if that's what you're referring to.
Oh, the 8%.
Yeah, so there's an 8%.
Yeah, I guess that's the question. Is that a
and so that's an
number?
estimate. It is an estimate based on the current, the current students that are in out of district placements right now. The superintendent and the school committee chair were on last night's Board of Selectmen meeting and did say that they just found out about another current out of district placement, that it's a residential program that the student is in that's being closed. And so they're having to find someplace else, and therefore that cost might increase dramatically. So these are these are some of the things that pop up, that are difficult to deal with. The state has the circuit breaker where you get reimbursed for a portion of your special education costs, but it's always the year after. So it's difficult to project exactly, but this 8% is what the superintendent has currently estimated. And there's also a 2.5% increase in our contract with Swampscott. So that's in there.
So this 8% does not include the new one,
No, because that's still currently in discussion. It's not a known number yet.
And are the 2 ESPs, is that 2 more new paras that we're going to have to hire because of the IEPs?
So they're already hired.
They're already hired. Okay.
Yep, and they're working this year. And what the school has done is they're trying to offset the costs with grant funds, and other types of funds, but they're proposing that it needs to be incorporated into their base budget because these are necessities.
Right, I get it. Thank you.
Allison, this is Dana. I just sorry to barge in. But for clarification, is the increase in contracted services for the SPED director, I'm assuming that's not a full-time employee?
No, it's not. So they weren't able, the special education director has never been a full-time employee at the school. It was always a part-time position. And they tried to rehire once the director retired last year, and they were unable to. So they've contracted the services through a third party. It is one individual that works, but they're not an employee of the school. It's a contract through a separate company.
And would it be better on our budget if we could hire a part-time director?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's originally what they tried to do. We tried to kind of level fund that position, and they tried to attract a candidate into a similar salary as what the predecessor was making, and they were not able to do that. They advertised several times and were unable to get somebody in that position at that salary rate.
Are they still trying to find somebody or are they not?
No, they went this route instead.
And any idea how much that is altogether to the budget?
I believe it's for the current year, it's additional $40,000.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question about the child who's in the residential program. Worst case, do you have a ballpark? You said dramatically increased. Any idea of what that might be? Worst case?
I'm not entirely sure. There was a number of $350,000 a year being thrown around where the town would be responsible for half of that.
I see. Okay, thanks.
Okay. So there's also, our health insurance we have through Maya. The town has Blue Cross. And when we started the budget process, our Maya representative said to expect a 14% increase in health insurance costs. I've estimated a 12% increase because what we've decided to do, I've heard from a lot of employees that, the health insurance premium has increased dramatically, increased 18% from FY25 to 26. And that was tough for employees. Their whole salary increase was covering the premium increase for health insurance. So I've spoken with Maya, and in FY27, we're going to be offering two different plans that employees can opt into. One is a limited network plan. And so employees can opt into that if the hospitals and doctors on that plan, fall into this network. And then one is a deductible plan, which we don't have now. And those two options will be at a lower premium amount. So that was the one way that I could try to balance this out a little bit. So I don't know yet what the premium rates are. Maya is giving us final rates within a few weeks, but I've estimated a 12% increase just on what our current premium is. And I'm estimating a 3% increase in the town's general liability insurance. And then my level services budget, I did not include a transfer to the stabilization fund. And then I only included the minimum debt payments that are due in FY27. Usually historically, if we had some additional free cash, I would put that towards paying down additional principal, but we don't have that for this year.
And how much is in the stabilization fund now?
Just over $1 million.
Thank you.
Like 1.07. So I just created this graphic here. A level services budget totaled 16.9 million. And I just wanted to show how it's kind of broken out by general department. So as you can see, education is the largest piece at 30%, followed by public safety, and then liability and health insurance. Those are the big chunks of the budget. So then I have a second budget scenario that I've developed, and this is the operating override. So, again, departments came in with large requests. If I threw everything together that was requested, it would equal a $2.5 million override. And I went back and I said, that's not something that I think the town is going to consider. So I went back, departments, trimmed back their budgets, really put forward what they thought were essential. And that's what I've included in this override plan. So it includes increasing an ELA math specialist in the school department from a 0.37 FTE to a full-time employee. Also, one of the major points that the superintendent and the new principal made is that they want to add in professional development. So that's included in the budget. The override includes 4 new full-time firefighters. And I read a statement from Austin last night about how the fire department has been understaffed historically for years, and that at times we're only sending 2 firefighters to a call, and that's well below the minimum standard for, national fire. And I'm sure Barbara will hear this, and Dan, when you talk to Austin, it's getting to a point where it's dangerous for just two firefighters to respond to calls. He had also included an expansion to, as you know, we use call firefighters. He included an expansion of that program, and I just said it would not fit into this proposal. So he wanted to still put forward the 4 new full-time firefighters, and that's what I did. I don't know if you remember Tony mentioning about 1.5 years ago, the town contracted Clifton Larson to do a compensation study on a number of positions in town, just to see what our salaries are like in comparison, to the market and to other communities. And when we met with department heads during our budget meetings last year, he had said, if there's an operating override in the future, this would be something that we would take a look at, is making some of those non-union, non-contract town employee salaries comparable to market rates. And so I did that. There's 5 positions. It's the 2 librarians, the treasurer collector position, and the town clerk. Yep. And then the administrative assistant for the building department, she is not in a union, and she's paid well below market rate. So I bumped them up to the recommended pay scale that Clifton Larson had put forward for the town in doing their market analysis and comparative analysis. I also propose increasing part-time salaries. We have a lot of part-time workers. The whole Council on Aging is part-time staff. The library has a part-time worker, and then the DPW relies on a part-time staff, particularly during the summer months. So I'm proposing, historically, we've increased those salaries just by 25 cents an hour each year. I'm bumping it up to increasing it to 50 cents, which is about a 3% increase for those. I also include an increase in the department utility budgets by 4% over actual expenditures, so that they're more in line with the actual spending that the departments are doing on those. But what I did to offset this a bit is I lowered the budget for that utility reserve that I spoke about earlier. So that's really an offset to increasing the individual department budgets. And then I did want to include a transfer to the stabilization fund. We did not do that in FY26. So I'm proposing using, after all of these other moves, whatever balance was left of the $1 million to transfer into stabilization.
Allison, can we get this slide with a dollar number assigned to each bullet per year?
So it's not a straight dollar amount for each one.
or an estimate?
Uh,
You know.
So I sent all of my backup today via email.
Oh, it's in there.
So
Okay.
the budget there's two budget worksheets, and then there's one that shows a level services budget and the pluses and minuses, and then the override. So when you see them side by side, you can see which ones have a bump in the override, because it is sprinkled through. I wanted to be fair to all of the departments. It is sprinkled throughout. While these are the main ones, I did in the override version, I did bump up, say, police purchase of services a little bit. So you can see it sprinkled throughout the department budgets. So the override would bring the budget to a total of 17.9 million. It's the same chart that I showed before, but it does vary the percentages a little bit. So public safety went up from 22%. It's now 24% of the budget, while education went down by a percentage in this version. And debt service went up a little bit. So to Dana's point, while I didn't have it on the slide, one of the other things that the override budget does is it bumps up our debt payment a little bit to more than just the minimum. So this is also kind of to your point, Dana, but it's more by general category. You can see with a level services budget where the increases and decreases in the amounts. And then in the far right-hand column, that's the override budget and what it means for each of those departments.
Okay, so I guess the column on the right minus the column on the left would give you the actual increase in proposed for the override. Okay, just wanted to clear that. Thanks.
Yep.
Just to take a step back to the previous slide, Allison, as we look at this, and as we looked at it at the end of last year, it seemed as though the downside of failure to get an override was more unpleasant than this appears. And I'm just wondering if there's services and deliverables that the town that we have grown accustomed to that we will not get if we don't have the override. We looked at the rates of inflation. We looked at the rates of cost increases of everything, especially our contracted wages. And it looked at the end of last year to be far more dire than the level funding budget that you have teed up. And I guess my question is, are we missing something that makes the level funding as undesirable as we believed it was in terms of, we heard, as I think as folks look at this, 4 new firefighters is a big deal. And I'm wondering if we're looking at this the right way in terms of the downside of the level funding.
So with the level funding, I'm not proposing any cuts to personnel. However, the budgets are at the very minimum amounts that we can possibly operate at.
So
and
police and fire overtime would obviously be eviscerated. But I guess that's a question. It doesn't appear on the slide, but my guess is police and fire overtime are substantially reduced. Same with town yard guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly a 1-for-1. I understand, and I want to make the argument as strong as I can. I think that the town's budget has been so tight for years and years that we are operating with a bare bones structure. Ideally, each of these offices should probably in town hall should have another person working. And if you look at comparative communities, that's the same. I just got an email this morning from the town administrator in Essex. He was looking for comparables, comparable salaries for Council on Aging, and asked me if we
Yeah.
had an outreach coordinator and a transportation coordinator. And I said, no, we do not.
Yeah.
We have
Yeah.
a Council on Aging director that does both, and that's only a 19-hour-a-week position. We have a lot of part-time and stipended positions. You know, all of our inspectors are part-time and stipend, and similar towns, those would be full-time positions. So I think, you know, the town has historically operated at a very minimal level. But the things that I'm putting forward for the override have been brought forward to me by those departments as their most critical needs right now.
And I know from meeting with Austin that we have actually been almost in an illegal
We are.
staffing
Yeah.
for fire for a long time. And it's really, as you said, it's really dangerous. And so we really need to make sure that the town understands that we have been in an untenable low level of fire staffing that's essentially illegal. And so that's where most of this is going to.
Yeah, so that is definitely a large chunk. I mean, to budget for 4 additional FTE, and then I also had to include budgeting health insurance for those
Right.
4 individuals. And I have to assume that they're coming on a family plan, which is a cost of $32,000 per new employee to the town.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah, so if I could just step in, Allison, what Allison has put together here from meeting with all her department heads. These are needs, they're not nice to haves.
Right.
And, you know, when people talk about, oh, we need an FTE, and let's just, the world's round, you get a new FTE add to staff, to any department. It's not just the current base salary. It's, as Allison just said, it's the downstream impact of the year-to-year over cost to the town, from the salary to the salary increase, to the medical cost increase, to the retirement cost, and then when they're obviously retired, to the pension cost. So you could have an FTE add today for, and I'm not picking on the school, for $40,000 a year. That person could work 30 years. It could cost the town $2-3 million over 40 years. So these are real needs to the town for these departments.
So can I jump in here for just a second? And I am being a devil's advocate right now.
Okay.
It's not necessarily this is not my position, but if I were sitting in the audience and I heard this discussion, what I hear is if we don't pass the override, nothing bad really happens.
Yeah.
It's just the same as it always was. So that's a comment more for, I think, for how we package and present than anything else.
Sure. And I think, you know, Austin is going to make the case that Barbara said, that we've been operating at borderline illegal levels.
Correct.
So if we want to continue to do that, yes, then don't pass the override.
Right.
We might not see any, you know, immediate impacts. It's all dependent on whether there's a large fire.
Yeah, for real. I know we've been on the edge. And I think another question that needs to be asked is, with this override and with Austin's proposed staffing, does that make us legal? Does that make us compliant? Or does it just make it less bad?
Well, my understanding is that there's a legal component to this and there's a generally accepted practices component.
Yep.
And I think Barbara's spot on that the legal aspect of it is when somebody becomes a crispy critter from the home fire that should have been put out by the 2 guys that didn't show up on time because there weren't 4 of them, the litigation will be punishing to the town in as we hit 7 and 8 digit numbers.
Good point, Dan. But I think I'm a little concerned about using terms like illegal without chapter and verse from the law saying, you know, this is the requirement under the law, and this is the desirable range because they're going to be different. So I think it's going to be helpful to the town to understand that whether they want to approve this or not.
Well, we should get, Austin will know exactly the wording.
Yeah.
I think the case has to be made to the town.
Exactly. He'll know the wording and he'll know the numbers. And so you're absolutely right, Dan. And so we need to get it just carefully. But I do know from having talked with him over the years that we are way under.
Yeah.
And so
I did some research on this a while ago, and my memory is that this is the NFPA, National Fire Protection Association, I think is what it stands for.
That's correct.
And the 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 regulations, I made air quotes around that, don't say, oh, for a town of this size, you need X number of full-time firefighters. It's expressed in terms of you need to have this many firefighters and this amount of equipment on scene within this amount of time. So it's more a performance-based thing than a specific staffing requirement.
Can I jump in? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'd love to raise my hand, but I can't figure out how to do it.
That's all right. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said here. In focusing just on fire, and we can't focus just on fire. Police have their own challenges. But I do have some background with respect to fire, and in fact, it is the NFPA, as you say, Bob. And the NFPA years ago, I've actually got several of the books behind me. I don't know if they've been updated to any extent. But it was basically you needed 4 firefighters on every piece of equipment you send out. So if we send out an engine company, we've got 4 people on board. If we send out a ladder company, we've got 4 people on board or more. But the fact is that they're pointing to this and saying this is what you're going to need. And I've got I don't know over 25 years as a call firefighter. And I got to tell you, there's instances in the middle of the night, and the most vivid one that I have that I can tell you about very quickly was that we had a single family home that was on fire in the third story attic. It was an active fire, and it was myself, my son, and Austin on that piece of equipment. We arrived. My son and Austin ran in. They should not have been doing that. They carried a hose with them. In the meantime, I'm trying to hook water up to a hydrant, running back to the engine to supply the 2 people that are now inside the building with water because they can't bring the hoses in charged. This is what we're going to while at the same time talking to people on the radio as far as when are you going to get here? Here's what you need to do. Now that's just one example. And it doesn't. I think our biggest challenge in Nahant is that we don't have many examples to give. But let me talk about something else here. We have mutual aid for Nahant and other districts. So we all share our equipment and our men and women in a serious situation. It's called mutual aid, and basically the concept is that they will send people and equipment here. We will send people and equipment there. But the underlying concept is that if you don't give, you don't get. We're very, very short-staffed in that regard too. If we have an engine company out of town, then we've got to backfill with either full-time people that get called back and or call firefighters. So it's always kind of just you hold your breath and hoping you get enough people when you need those people. Now, the other situation that's in the background here that we don't think about is that the Nahant. Every city, every community is rated for what they have for coverage for the size of your fire department and the kind of equipment you have and that sort of thing. And it bears on our homeowner insurance rates. depending on how ISO determines the firefighting and safety equipment in a given community. So that's kind of on the board also. And we haven't even talked yet about where we're going to house these people because, quite honestly, they're on top of each other now. They're basically living in what used to be a garage, and they've been there for, I don't know, 75, 100 years. I'm done. I'm sorry.
Okay. So I suggest we have this in-depth discussion when we talk about the police and fire budget.
Mhm.
For tonight, I think it's sufficient. We have identified a huge concern here. And let's just file it in the back of our head and wait until we get to the police and fire budget. Okay with that?
Good plan.
Allison?
Keep going. So we are, I already showed the slide, correct? Yep. So I did just look into the last override was in 2020 for FY 2020, and the amount was $600,000. But the majority of this, a large portion, was $425,000 to pay down debt related to Storm Riley in 2018. And then 100,000 was for a transfer into the stabilization fund, which was the first time that funds had ever been transferred into the stabilization. $25,000 transfer into the OPEB fund. They increased the reserve fund by $100,000. And then there were small various increases to salary and operating budgets sprinkled throughout the departments that total about $85,000. And to offset, some of those increases, the town decreased the budget for workers' compensation and then decreased the amount that they were budgeting for debt service. So I think the point is the last override that was in FY 20 was $600,000, and a lot of that wasn't even for technical operation costs. It was more to pay down town outstanding debt. So at that time, the override increased the tax rate by 62 cents per thousand. And based on average single family home value, at that time, the average tax bill increase was just over $400. So this slide just shows what the tax rate would look like with and without the override. So the first highlighted line, the tax rate is all the way over to the right. The tax rate would only go up by a penny. We're $8.99 per thousand in the current year, it would go up to $9 per thousand. If there's $1 million operating override, the increase would be 68 cents per thousand. So based on a current average single family home value of just over $1 million operating override would mean the average tax bill would go up $730. And then I just included this. I downloaded tax rate data, current year tax data from local communities and kind of ordered them from lowest to highest. So I kind of wanted to show the communities in our area. And Nahant's residential tax rate is on the fairly low side at $8.99. We rank up 49th out of 351 communities. You can also see a lot of our neighbors have a large commercial tax rate that they can draw on for revenues. We do not have that. So I thought, that this was an important slide to show just to see how our current tax rate fares with others. And then my estimate with an operating override, I said it would go up to 968, kind of where that would put us as well. I mean, obviously all of these are going to go up for FY 27, but and so that's all the general fund stuff. I did just want to mention the water, sewer, and trash enterprises because I budget for those as well. The enterprise budgets are are intended to be self-supporting. We charge fees, and the revenue raised by those fees cover the costs. So for the water and sewer, I've budgeted for the 2.5% DPW collective bargaining increase. We pay, it's a portion of 2 salaries on the water and sewer budget. We did receive the assessment from Lynn Water Sewer, so that's a known number. It's only going up $4,500 for FY27, which is a good news item. We have not yet received our assessment from MWRA, so I've just proposed or estimated an increase of $15,000. When we do get that, and if it's lower, I can revise the budget down. I included a 2% increase in indirect costs. So we charge the enterprise fund for those central functions that happen at town hall, like the audit and accounting, and we process their bills and process payroll. So I increased those costs by 2%. And then I increased the utility costs by 2.5%. And the water and sewer also has a smaller amount in retained earnings, which is similar to free cash, but on the enterprise side. So we don't have as much that we can put towards the capital outlay items in water and sewer. So I just, based on all of those estimates, I'm estimating the water and sewer fee rate to go up by 3.9%. And so I just show what the current rates are. That would mean the water rate going from a current rate of 1108 to 1139, and the sewer rate going from 1334 to 1397. And then the last is the same thing, the rubbish enterprise budget. This the enterprise, we fund a portion of one DPW salary on the rubbish enterprise. And really the main driver of this enterprise account is the contract for trash collection. The town's contract with waste management ends of June 30th of this year. And so technically, if the town were to go out to bid, we should have already been conducting that procurement process back in the fall. So I've reached out to waste management to talk about a 1-year extension on our current contract and what that might look like. I'm meeting with our waste management representative in a few weeks, and she's going to give me a price proposal. And then in the fall, I will be going through a procurement process to, enter or find another contract for whether it's with waste management or if somebody else comes forward with, a better pricing option. But I will do that in the fall. So based on an estimated 6% increase in the trash contract, the overall enterprise budget would be a 6% increase. So that would increase the trash fee from $4.29 per single family household to $4.55. And we've changed the billing for trash to mirror water and sewer. So it's billed 3 times a year, where previously the trash bill was only issued once a year.
Allison,
Yeah.
excuse me, this is Dana.
Hi.
So is that number 455 an annual fee or the 3 times a year bill?
No, the annual.
Okay, thank you.
That's divided into 3 times a year. So divide by 3 for.
Thank you.
And so then I just laid out next steps. This was intended for the selectmen, that, once they reviewed everything last night, and it was going to be sent to the Advisory and Finance Committee, which I have. And then I just said that you guys were having a meeting tonight, and that you have 9 weeks to kind of dig into all of these budgets. I sent Bob a calendar of of all of these items too. The recommendations should be completed by April 17th to send to the printer. And that gives the printer 3 weeks lead time to print the book and get to residents by May 9th, which is a week before town meeting on the 16th.
Questions, discussion? Thank you.
Terrific, Allison. I think that's really well crafted. Thank you. The one thing I would like to be sure that we don't forget, uh, especially as we compare to other cities and towns, is where we are in terms of economies of scale. The very size of our town and the fact that we are so tiny relative to anyone else means we pay more for everything relative on a per cap basis.
Mhm.
And I think that is like the driver. That's the why, or one of the big whys.
Sure. Hmm.
Allison, I was wondering how much is in the utility overage fund?
So previously we had budgeted 25,000, which I continued in the level services budget, but I dropped by 5,000 in the override budget so that I could offset increasing the department level budgets.
Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. No more questions or comments?
I have a comment.
I shared a draft warrant with the board last night. I don't know if that's something that you're gonna show today. There are some new articles that may draw some attention.
Yeah, we should. Yes, please, if you don't mind.
I just want to comment, Allison, it was extremely helpful to see this laid out so clearly. Um, and and particularly the comparisons. And I was thinking with the override, that was going to be, when we first started talking about it, much more complicated to see, but you've done an excellent job laying it out. So we could
Thank you. I appreciate that.
well,
I
it's
can
very
tell you I've spent and Rob Tibbo has heard me say this 1,000 times now. I've probably spent well over 100 hours putting this together. It was really, really difficult. Some of the decisions that are included in my budget are not favorable to some of the department heads, and you're going to hear that in your discussions with them. I tried to be fair. I tried to apply a standard to everybody and to everything so that you know it was fair. It was fair. And that's what I did. I did the best that I could, and I hope that it goes forward.
well, your hard work really paid off, and we're grateful. But I'm not surprised that it took so much time.
Yes.
She had a big challenge. She had to bring it to the point where I could understand it.
There you go. It was all Rob's fault.
I think we have a new buzzword here.
All right, so I'm just sharing the town meeting warrant now. Can you see this?
Can we boost it up a little bit with the arrow down the lower right?
So I'm having trouble seeing what it looks like on your screen.
It's hard to read, I'll tell you that.
It is. Let
But
me see. I'll zoom it in.
There you go. Zoom it.
How does that look?
Better.
Oh,
Keep
better.
zooming.
A
Keep
little
zooming.
better. Keep zooming.
There you go.
Does that look good? Okay.
She also sent it to us so we could look
I
at
did.
it.
So maybe I'll just go through. I'll go through quickly. There's 23 articles right now, I think. A lot of them are standard, but I kind of wanted to highlight what the non-standard ones are. So Article 1's a standard article for, current year transfers that we always have. Article 2 is new. And this was something that was brought up in budget discussions last year. And so I put it on the warrant for this year, and it's to accept Mass General Law to provide a stipend of $1,000 to the town clerk who's certified as a Massachusetts municipal clerk. So I've included that in the warrant. Article 3 is prior year bills, that's standard. The salary and classification plan, that's standard. And the compensation for elected positions, same thing. That includes compensation for the Board of Selectmen, the constable, and the town clerk. Not really sure why they're voted separately, but historically they have been. So those are here. And then the omnibus. And as we discussed before, you know, if these two budgets go forward, they're both going to appear under this article. And then the water and sewer enterprise budget and the rubbish enterprise budget. Article 9 is for the compost. This is a standard article and we've historically dedicated trash retained earnings to this. That's to continue that effort. Revolving funds is standard. That's just to authorize the maximum amount that can be spent out of revolving funds during the fiscal year. Article 11, OPEB. Both versions of my budget include a transfer of $25,000 to the OPEB trust fund, which we have historically done. Article 12 is for paving. In prior years, if we had enough free cash, we might dedicate it to paving. We don't for the FY27 budget, so I included a borrowing article for that. So I put $200,000 in here. That will be in combination with whatever the town receives in Chapter 90 money, and that will be the budget for paving in FY27. Article 13 is new. So it's another borrowing article, and it's for improvements, drainage in the White Way area, which is deemed as the next critical area to address in terms of drainage issues. So the town actually already went out to bid for this work, and the bids came back. We bid it out with a base bid and then a number of alternate bids. So the minimum bid with all the alternates came in at $1.1 million. And I told Zach that we can't fund that. So he's now working on which things are most critical from that. I said I would include this borrowing article, and we have $260,000 left over from a former drainage borrowing. So the combination of those two will be the budget for this project.
Allison, where's the White Way?
Down by the golf course.
It's a pond. It's in a pond.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So for this article, I would encourage Zach to come and talk about it. It's very, he would do a much better job than I'm doing right now, but he has deemed it as the next critical area to address in terms of drainage issues and problems. You know, we borrowed for the lowlands area that was previously done. So this is the next area. Article 14 is standard. We always authorize this MWRA borrowing. As you recall, our prior years, we've authorized the same amount through MWRA, and we're using former authorizations of 1.5 million to do a water meter replacement project. And you'll be happy to know that the procurement process is kicking off next week. So that project is coming to fruition. We're going to get bids for that work and hopefully start the work in swapping out those old water meters starting this summer. So this is just to authorize another $500,000. The MWRA borrowing is at 0 interest. We don't have a plan for this yet, but it's good to authorize the money for if and when we do have an upcoming project. Article 15 is new. I think you're aware, I've spoken about at Board of Selectmen meetings several times, but we're currently undergoing a feasibility study for a public safety building. So we're working with an architect. I'm working closely with the two chiefs, and we've done a site analysis. We've done needs analysis, and now we're going through concept designs for either a combined public safety building or a new police station and fire station. So the feasibility study will likely be done next month, and then the architect is going to present it to the town. And so the next stage is if the town deems that, new public safety building or individual new buildings are needed, the next step would be to get a designer to design those. And so this article is requesting borrowing authorization to pay for that. I don't have an amount yet, so the number is not here.
Allison, would you expect that the option of reconstruction of the two stations would be the least expensive?
That's a good question. I think we'll find out more through this feasibility study.
Okay.
I know the idea, there's only one location that we've determined that a combined facility could go. And that would be on Flash Road, and the facility would be very large. So I don't know if that's something that the town would want. In terms of costs, I don't know which would be the less expensive option.
So Allison, the feasibility study, will that address the cost and how we're going to pay for this as a town?
It will address the costs. It will not address how we will pay for it. It's going to be a significant amount of money, so it would have to be through a borrowing. It's not something that, the town could afford in its budget, but that's all to be discussed once the feasibility study is done.
Because just for everybody's edification, the town of Linfield just recently did this, and I know it's a bigger town, but people will be surprised how much this is going to cost. It seems like that needs to be addressed before we spend all this money on feasibility studies, architects, and so forth. If it's just completely, unless we get some grants, I mean, this is what we're going to need a grant for. I don't see how we're going to do it on our own. Anyway, I know you're just running through it, so
Dana, I'm really very glad you said that, because I don't know how much Linfield paid, but I can imagine that this is a huge expense. And the idea of going ahead and spending money in advance for, a special architectural study of something, it's just not real world.
I agree with you, Barbara. It's just a matter of like sequencing this out. I agree that there's a need there, but it's like if you can all go out and Google it, Linfield, Mass. Public safety building cost, and you'll see how much it cost. And,
how much was it?
I don't want to say because I can't remember, but it was like way over 25 million.
Yeah, I would be. Yeah.
Is it possible that these designer services could be less granular than maybe than giving every single detail of line items and stuff? Maybe that would be less expensive if we had to go with architect services.
Yep. And that's definitely, I think we need to take a look at everything. So once the feasibility study is done next month, then the architect that we've hired for the feasibility study, which was funded by town meeting a few years ago. When they come forward and do a presentation, I think they're going to give us guidance on next steps and what those costs might look like. I mean, I certainly don't know. I've never been through something like this. So I agree. I don't think that the town's going to be on board with spending money on something that might not be able to come to fruition.
Right. As long as they will cover all the three various options that you have in the article independently. So,
and that's what Deborah is saying is really important, because I don't know, because Dan and I go over there, particularly the fire, I mean, the trucks are like not even a yard from the wall.
Mhm.
I mean, it's so tight. And that they're able to get the trucks in and out, it's miraculous. And scary. I mean, truly scary. So I think part of this, people are going to have to understand we're going to have to do something. And my understanding is also the police department, there's parts of it where we're supposed to have a larger, like, holding cell or something. And there's things like that that we really have to do.
Mhm.
So there needs to be some kind of a presentation where people understand what's necessary.
So that's what the feasibility study is looking at right now. So
Okay.
the architects had subcontractors that came out on site and have evaluated each of these things against what the standards are for each type of facility. So we're going to have a whole report just to exactly what you said.
Good. Thank you.
And Barbara too, this is Dana again. I just Googled it myself, and the Linfield Public Safety Building recently completed, cost $63.5 million. So I'm not saying that we're going to have the same size or scope or functionality, but that's a place to start thinking about that. So
I don't
I'm
think,
not surprised. I'm not surprised because when you told me the other figure, I thought, whoa, that's kind of low. I'm not surprised.
yeah, the 25 million seems doable, but the
Yeah.
63.5 million is like, wow, like,
Ouch. Oh,
yeah.
no.
well, I think that the town is going to think minimalistic.
Yeah, or it's the old divide and conquer strategy. Like, all right, we'll do a fire station, then we'll do a police station a little while after that, and just like
That's a
divide
thought.
it up. But it's all going to key on grants, like state or federal grants, and there's not a lot of state or federal grant money out there these days. So anyway, we're getting way down the rabbit hole in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but 63 million, I'm not surprised.
What we might think about doing, though, is allocating some time inside town meeting for a short presentation of the feasibility study.
I think we're going to do it before town meeting.
Why couldn't it be in the thing we sent out to the,
Could be, too.
to the town?
Yep.
I have a
I-
question. Can I ask? Is this feasibility study also going to be including an option for expanding the current buildings to provide more area versus building a brand new building?
Yes, that's my question.
There are so many other priorities that I feel the town, might want to prioritize. This is a great thing. I'm all for it. But perhaps, new sewer lines and other things might want to take priority. I'd like to see in this feasibility study, not only the cost of a new building and where you would put it and combine it, but if we had to keep the fire and police where they are, is there room to provide, an amendment to those buildings?
So one of them, on the fire station, yes, that will be part of the feasibility study. That's one of the locations, is to expand where the current facility is.
And what about
However, it should be noted that the current fire station is in a flood zone.
Okay.
What
So
about
it's
the
not
police?
ideal to expand there, but that is one of the locations that will be in the feasibility study. The police station cannot be expanded where it currently is. There's no room.
How about an annex somewhere else in town?
That could be a possibility.
Yeah. My point is that we spend money on feasibility studies, and oftentimes all is presented is a one or nothing approach.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just hopeful that the town can be informed on multiple approaches and then make a decision on voting based on that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all for 15. I think, it's important that we have the right space and the working tools for our folks, but it can't be an all or nothing approach would be my recommendation. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. All right, were there any more comments on that one? We still have another few new ones. So chapter 90, that's we have that every year. That's just to accept chapter 90 money from the state. Article 17 is new. And it's to establish an affordable housing trust in town. So I've been working closely with alternate planning board member, Jeff Lewis, who's a former finance committee member. And he and I have been doing a lot of research into establishing an affordable housing trust in town. We went and we met with members of the Affordable Housing Trust up in Manchester by the Sea to see how they were established. Jeff is researching how to develop a bylaw that would establish this. I've heard from residents that they're worried that they can no longer afford to live in town. And I think that this might be something to address those concerns. And as you're aware, one of the main funding mechanisms for this in many communities is CPC funding, because 10% of CPC revenues must go towards housing. So we're putting this on the warrant, and we're currently drafting a bylaw that hopefully we'll be able to present soon. Jeff's working on it with town council right now. And then CPC is reviewing applications. And then once they make their grant recommendations, I'll include those in here. I was on the CPC meeting on Monday night, and they reviewed 2 of my applications. One is more of an administrative item. There was an unpaid bill from a former CPC project, and the funds were reverted at last town meeting to the general reserve. And then I got this bill in August that I had never seen before. So I put in an application to recover the original money that was supposed to be used for this. It was the open space study work, so that I can pay this outstanding bill. The other, I asked for additional funding for the town hall ramp. That project has received funding in 2 previous years. And we have an architect that's done plans for it. And we asked a contractor to let us know the cost. And the estimated cost is just a little bit greater than what we have in CPC funding. So I'm requesting the additional monies. So again, once the CPC works through all their grant recommendations, we'll include those here.
This is Josie again. Can the Affordable Housing Trust has been a hot topic for quite a few years. I know Dana and I were on the housing committee for a while. And even though establishment of a trust with, the town putting in a certain amount in CPC is a good idea. It is very important when we go ahead and promote this, if that is what we're going to do, to be very careful. There was a lot of pushback from many, many people in town that they were very concerned that our tax monies were going to be used specifically, not just CPC, but our tax monies were going to be used to build additional affordable housing. And the reason why I got involved in that housing committee was because this is a perfect opportunity to go after grants, things like, Habitat for Humanity and, tunnels to towers. So when that trust is established, it is important for PR as well as guidelines that we understand or we limit how much of taxpayer money is going to go to build affordable housing versus requiring them to look for grants or alternate ways of funding. I just want to put it out there because it was such a huge problem before and many people were so against it. I think it's important that when you have this discussion, that you just don't open the door to, we'll just tax the residents.
Yep. Those are all fair points. Okay, so Article 19, the planning board asked me to put this article on the warrant. I actually don't know all the ins and outs of the reasoning behind it. It's to amend our wireless communications zoning bylaw, and it has to do with the cell phone tower that they're swapping out equipment on there that the planning board is currently reviewing. And so Sheila said that our zoning bylaw needs to be changed. So she'll have to or a member of the planning board will have to come before you to speak more on this one, because I don't have all the details. And then the next two are the citizens petitions. So one is to prevent the use of eschars in rodenticides. And the second one is to allow transferable parking stickers. And then the last is just a standing, these are standing committees that we reauthorize every year. And that's the last article.
Transferable parking stickers?
Mm-hmm.
Give me a little bit more detail on that one.
There isn't a lot of detail. The citizen, technically, when you put in a citizen's petition, it says that you should work with council to draft the article. There's not an actual article drafted. It just says, the individual says that, you know, a parking sticker, you should be able to transfer it from vehicle to vehicle. If you have, say, a babysitter that's taking your children, you know, in their car, they should be able to use the sticker to be able to park in town. Instances like that. They just gave examples of when it would be useful. So now when you do buy a parking sticker, you have to register it with your plate. And your plate number is on the sticker and you put it on your car. This petition is to say that once a person buys a sticker, they should be able to give it to other family members for use or visitors or things like that.
So if I have 4 cars, I have 3 registered in town, and I have 2 that I don't use, I can go ahead and give them to my friends and family out of town.
Exactly.
Thank you. Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Or could I sell them? Could I sell them to people from Lynn?
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And that's all.
Thank you, Allison.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Allison.
Thank you.
Allison, have a terrific vacation. Outstanding job. Thank you so much.
Thank
I
really,
look forward to having
really.
you in the driver's seat here.
Oh, thank you very much. And I did want to introduce Ed is our new finance director. He was just appointed last night, so that's why he's joined us on the call today. So Ed will be joining us in your meetings going forward, and very much looking forward to offloading some of these finance director duties to him.
Welcome, Ed.
Welcome, Ed.
Welcome.
And
Thank you.
Case.
Looking forward to working with everybody. Thank you for your time.
Excellent.
I
So,
know it's not easy some days.
Allison, before you go, I meant to ask this at the beginning of the meeting. Does this automatically get recorded, or is there something we need to do to initiate the recording?
No, it says it's recording. I think when you sign into Zoom, it automatically starts recording.
Fair enough.
So that, yes, it's recorded, but there's a process by which Kristen goes and can download it, and if you want it shared or whatever.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And while we're on that topic, when I spoke to Kristen, she very kindly volunteered, without me even bringing it up, to review these recordings and make minutes for us.
Wow, that's very generous of her.
That is hugely.
My gosh.
So yay, like big round of applause.
Wow.
And you know, maybe
Kristen's like my left arm. I really don't know what I would do without her. She's a huge asset to this office, and that's very nice that she said she would do that for you.
Yep. And it was, like I said, it was completely voluntary. It took me by surprise. All right. All right, what? Okay, so no more, with no more questions for Allison, let's go back to just our administrative stuff, which I think we can knock out pretty quickly. All right, so it says I'm sharing. Yes, I'm really sharing.
Here we go.
Yeah, you're good.
All right, and I will send this around, but this, I can make this bigger for everyone. This was just my cut at who the liaisons should be. Is everybody okay with this, or
Yeah,
we
except
we can
Dan and I do police and fire together, so both of our names should be on both of them.
Right. Yeah, both of those. Good point.
I have always done, or not always, but for a year or two, done community preservation, but I see that you've moved me to culture and recreation. I don't know what that is exactly.
among other things, that is the library. So that's why I
Oh,
moved you there. This was a real luxury this year. We've been short-staffed in prior years, and it was tough to do this. And now it's almost the other way around. I almost like had too many people.
So this is Josie. I'd love to help with the school, but I think that maybe if I'm able to find any grants for the water, sewer, and enterprise, or help them develop grants, I might be better served helping them there. Up to them if Melanie wants to have a little bit of help. But that was my hope so that we don't get these enormous bills. And the same thing with the community preservation. That is an area that I'm also interested in. Just letting you know. Not that I don't want the school, but I just think maybe one or two that I can help focus in some way. Grants. Take me off. Yeah, that's too much. Thank you.
Okay.
So, Bob, this is Dana.
You're not on here. That's who I'm missing. Where do you want to be?
I don't know, articles or community preservation. I don't know.
I was counting on my hands trying to figure out who I missed, and now I know.
and Dana, you're also good on the education and school.
I mean, if you guys want, they'll do that one too. Sure.
Because we've talked about that. We have together.
Absolutely. It's foundational for the future. So,
Totally, totally.
know,
I would be happy to swap school if you wanted with community preservation, which I've done before, but I don't really care wherever I'm needed
Yeah,
most.
I think that looks good to have Alex and Dana be on school because Dana's been
Yeah.
really into the school budget and thinking about that and special ed and all of that for a long time.
Okay, now I'm happy.
Poor Tim has no say because he's not here tonight.
But we're taking Dana off of community preservation.
Oh, okay.
He's gone up to school. See?
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. There we go.
yeah, put Tim on town government.
Yeah,
I mean, we can change this stuff as we go. I mean, let's,
that's a good place for Tim.
Yep.
share the love.
Yep.
That looks pretty good,
Yeah.
Bob.
Okay.
Great.
Excellent. Then next, schedule. So how do we want to talk through this? All right. So what you're looking at is calendar over here, right? So it's just every row on here is a week, and the weeks begin on Monday. So it's more just a calendar for reference. And I'm going to start with this key dates
Can you
field.
make it any bigger, Bob, or not?
I can.
Be great.
Let me do this temporarily. Okay, key dates. Let's make this bigger.
Deborah, too, if you go to the view in the upper right-hand corner,
Yeah,
where click on view with your mouse.
yeah,
And if you go to side-by-side speaker or
yeah.
gallery, you get a bigger view.
Oh, okay, great.
All right, so just to quickly review kind of what the key dates are fixed things. We can't change them. We got to manage to them. So January the 30th was CPC applications were due, citizens petitions were due. And then 2/11, which was yesterday, the select board approved the budget. And now I'm going to go way to the end.
Hey, so Bob, this is Dana. I apologize for interrupting. Did the select board approve a budget? I mean, an override budget or a non-override budget?
No, they just proposed sending the omnibus with the two versions to the finance committee.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, so work backwards from town meeting is Saturday, May 16th. We have to have our book in the hands of the voters 1 week prior to that. So that would be May 9th. 1 week prior to that, the warrant has to be posted in public places. And May the 2nd would also be the mailing deadline for our book, to give it a week for the post office to process it and get it out to the town voters. And if you back off 2 weeks from that, that means that on April the 17th, we have to have the book to the printer. So that's our working deadline right there, is April the 17th. And that's how we came up with the April 17th deadline. Just a note, it kind of impacts nothing for us right now, but the 25th is also the town elections. And as I understand it, there will not be, whatever it is, a ballot item there for the override, because it needs to be passed by the town meeting. So sometime after May 16th, there would be a special town election for just the override, which we don't know when it would be yet, but all right, that all makes sense. So now we should be able to unhide. All right, so what we need to do is kind of schedule our stuff out. And all I did here for the time being was I just took those liaison categories and literally copied them onto this schedule. They don't have to be in this order. So our challenge is, how do we want to do this? Does anybody know, is the school ready? Does the school have a budget that they are in a position to review with us?
Yes.
They do?
Mhm. They've had a budget ready since December.
All right, so let's do this. Let's put the school here. Yeah, it's a school. That's in Dutch. All right, so school liaisons. Actually, let's do one other thing. Does Thursday evening work for everybody as a regular meeting date?
Yes.
Yeah, it's good as
Okay.
any.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
good. I like Thursday evenings.
All right, so just we'll assume that these will all be Thursday meetings. And can we see if the school department can join us next Thursday?
I just have a question about the length of typical meetings. Just because on Thursdays I'm with my son right now, and I just have to kind of manage that. Is it normally going like a 2 hours or so?
Yeah.
Typically, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And it tends to get longer the later you go. Because what sometimes happens
So
is,
yeah, I'm gonna try as best as I can, but I know it works for everybody. Thursdays are gonna be what it is. It's just a little tricky for me on Thursdays.
I'm okay with Wednesdays as well.
Sorry, Wednesdays and Thursdays are my bad days.
Okay. Tuesdays are mine. I'm traveling. I can't do Tuesdays.
I'll be mostly available.
all right, it sounds like Thursday, although it presents some issues, is kind of the, the best for everyone. Is this, at least as a starting spot, if we can get the school first and then work with the rest of this? And then I've given us kind of 3 weeks, well, 2 weeks at the end to do our writing, our recommendations, and our final read, or what we've taken to call fly specking of the book. Yes? All right. I'm taking silence as consent then. Okay. Who did we end up with?
Wait, so when does that mean we're doing school? Could you go back to that?
Next week.
Next week.
Next week. Yeah. So this is us right there, the 12th. I don't know whether I've got this computer set up to do it. Yeah. So
For me, that's kind of short notice though for I haven't seen the budget yet. I apologize. I'm just gonna have to get up to speed quickly. But is the school superintendent gonna come and present to us? Is that how it's gonna work?
that's typically what happens. Yes.
Okay.
And the assigned member among us usually meets with them offsite first. So you would, whoever has schools would meet with the appropriate parties on school, go through the budget, let them have their say, and then that person would come, and then the specific person from school or police or fire would then come and present to the entire committee here.
Yeah, I would need a couple weeks. I apologize. Next week's school vacation week, and I do have family that's out of schools. I mean, I don't want to make excuses, but
Dana,
I think I need
excuse
more
me for
time.
interrupting. I was on schools the last year or so. The new superintendent really has his act together. He sends you a very well-written, maybe 3-page summary of his budget, and I think you can come up to speed really quickly.
Okay, it's just the next Thursday is just short for me. But
Yeah, let's. I mean, if you can't
We could switch.
meet with him, it wouldn't be the end of the world as far as I'm concerned.
No, I did it online.
Yeah, I mean, I think he comes straight and present to all of us, and and we'd be okay.
I never met with him personally. We corresponded by email
Great.
when I did it. So he's excellent.
And
Organized.
next week is school vacation week. So
good point.
that's not the best week
Might be hard for him.
for him. Exactly.
Yeah.
Is it all right? So if we switch back to police and fire first?
That means that Dan and I have got to get out to meet, because we do meet with them in person.
Yes, I understand. That's why I'm taking care to.
Well, for the duration that each of them needs, I think we definitely don't want them both on the same night.
Right.
Why couldn't we do DPW water and sewer stuff next week?
No, I'm not ready for that.
Oh, okay, sorry.
There's a lot that I think I can bring to the table, and I want to hear it.
Okay.
Can I respectfully ask the town government benefits and pension? I think that's something that a lot of people will be in favor of. Maybe not, but that one should be easily done because I think Allison really knows this pretty well.
But Allison will be in Tortola.
Allison, when do you come back?
So I'll be back in the office on March 2nd.
Culture and recreation, is that an easier one?
It is.
So, Bob, can we
right.
move DPW if Allison's not back to March 2nd? Because we usually meet with Zach the week before he presents, and the town administrator is with us. So Allison may need a week to catch up, and then we can meet with
Right,
Zach.
so
So can we
let me,
get the week of March 10th, maybe? Does that work for you, Allison, with Zach?
I'm okay with that week. I'm not traveling.
all right, so let me propose something else. Suppose we just take this school vacation week with nothing scheduled. We have two meetings, Tuesday the 24th and Thursday the 26th. So we could do both or all three of school, police, and fire in those two meetings that week. Does that work for anyone or everyone or no one?
Which week could you give those dates again?
This week of March 23rd. So well, it doesn't matter, but have
Right.
two meetings during that week, whatever days seem to work. Tuesday, Thursday, Monday, Thursday.
I think that's February you're looking at.
Right. Yeah, that's not March.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. It's the week of, you're right, February 23rd. Sorry.
yeah, I'm on vacation that week.
Mhm.
Um,
What if we swap that for DPW that week and then police and fire the subsequent week?
Good.
No,
Allison,
DPW is March 10th because we need Allison to be back to meet with Zach.
And I need more
Oh,
to
that's right.
come up with some ideas for grants because I know they're out there. I've seen them.
On grants, Josie, with the lead lag for approval of grants, let's say
Yeah.
there's several grants that we're interested and excited about and that seem very positive. Would the flash to bang let us know that we got the money by what is it, 13 May? Or are we looking at a 1 year lead lag?
I'll investigate them a little bit more. That's why I don't want to say. Some of them are pretty easy. It's a matter of putting in an application, and they might give you 30 days approval. Some are more complicated. You have to do a proposal. But that's why I just need a little bit of time to see how I can help in that area. It could be just, you know what, we're going to, ask for $500,000, but we will try to get this grant and that grant and hopefully reduce it. That's it. I just want to identify it for them before we go all out on some of these things, because I know this is going to be a large outlay over the next few years.
I do think that you might be able to combine culture and recreation with the town government one, because really the only department head for culture and recreation that you'll speak to is the library director. And then town government, I mean, that includes, I don't know if the assessor will want to come or the town clerk. I can speak on the other budgets, includes accounting, town hall, town administrator, treasurer.
Would Nori, Barbara, you're more up on this than I am. Would Nori be ready to present at that date?
What's the date? Is that March? What?
I don't remember.
I have to see that.
Well, right now, March the 19th.
March 19th.
So Thursday, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good day for me, March 19th. So we will be doing a town government then? Yeah, I'm sure she would be. Yeah.
Okay.
And I've already met with them once already. Deborah, we both have. Yeah.
That's correct. We did last week.
Yes, we did.
Right?
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think they'll be perfectly ready.
Yep, I do too.
All right. So here's where we are. So we're saying this week, this is school vacation week. So it's kind of, but anyway, no meetings next week, the week of February 16th.
So we're not meeting next week at all, the 19th.
Well, that under this proposal, yes.
Okay.
We are not, yes, we are not.
Okay.
We are not meeting, but it does give us a week to start meeting with the various department heads and get everything
Right.
lined up. So that we come back the final week of February. This is the week Dan is on vacation, but we would cover school,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And then the next week, March the 2nd would be police and fire.
I can't be here March. I'm not going to be here then.
The whole week.
Yeah, I'm going to be in Puerto Rico with Bad Bunny.
All right. They have the phone poles.
Yeah.
With
Bad
flags
Bunny,
and everything.
yeah, Bad Bunny is like all over the San Juan airport. It's really crazy.
It's going to be cool. But I can't be here I can't do that week for police and fire. Sorry.
So what if we push it 1 week and then we do 2 meetings the subsequent week?
But Dan, you and I need to meet with them before then.
Yes, I'm thinking maybe we can do that. We might even, I mean, I could do
Do
that
that
next
next
week.
week. Right?
Yeah, next week I could meet with them,
Yeah, me too.
and then we'd have a gap week, and then have them present.
Yeah.
Or like that.
Oh, but Barbara's not here
For when?
the week of the March 2nd for
But
culture.
yeah, but if you're doing town government, then you can guide. You don't need me for that one.
Okay,
Oh,
fine.
culture and recreation, that's library.
That's right.
I need to be here for that. Sorry.
Oh,
But do we want to separate culture and recreation from town government benefits?
Why couldn't they go on? Could we go under the DPW one? Oh no, we've got three things. We've already got 3 things there.
How about culture and recreation down with CPC?
Lynn usually has a lot to say though, doesn't she?
Yes.
She has
Oh,
all
yeah.
those articles. She has like 2 pages of
Oh, she has. Yeah, that
Yeah,
doesn't work.
she's long. Although Zach is pretty brief and gets to the point and gets done. So buildings and ground or highway department is not going to take that
Yeah,
long.
we could put culture and recreation
Right.
down there.
On the week of the 9th. Will you be home, Lynn, Barbara?
Yeah.
March 9th?
Yes.
Okay.
March 9th. Wait.
Just
March.
I can't do Tuesdays. I travel for work on Tuesdays. So if it's going to be, Tuesdays and Thursdays, please put the DPW on Thursday.
Thursday the 12th would be when we'd have DPW and the library. I can do
Right.
that.
That's good.
That looks good. And then police and fire are going to be on
19th.
the 19th. Yep. I think they can do them on the same night.
yeah, they kind of go together.
They do go together.
Great, let's
Yeah,
do it.
We can do them on the same night. Yep.
All right. Okay. So, is there consensus on this? Yes.
Great.
And everyone's clear on what they need to do. I mean,
I think at some point we need to put in some time that's going to be a schedule just among us committee members to discuss which of the two budgets we wish to support. Maybe we want to do that after we hear from each of the individual areas
Yeah.
of town government. But at some point, we're going to need, yeah, exactly. We're going to need override discussion among us.
Yeah.
all right. We are going to have to be crisp on this, but I think this works.
We might have to separate out articles and override for 2 meetings that week. What do you think?
Yeah,
It
It's
seems
all
like this
over.
year's tighter than others. How come?
Yeah. Both of those are a tall order at one meeting.
Which are?
Both articles and
Oh yeah, that's a lot.
override.
Yeah.
I think they each need a meeting.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, let's remove the question mark then. So 2 meetings, and it would be Tuesday and Thursday, just
Yeah, because we'll already have Thursdays booked out, right?
yep. All right. So I will post school for the what the 26th of February. And if the school liaisons could just make sure you meet with the school director prior to that, and at minimum make sure that he's available that night. All right. And then yeah. And finally, elect officers. We have not elected officers in a while. I believe we need a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary. If Kristen is doing minutes for us, the secretary's role is not doing minutes. It's more just making sure that we get coordinated on that.
Well, about this, Dana, I the vice chair role, is that in the bylaws? I believe we only have a chair and a secretary, and the secretary kind of functions as the vice chair.
I think we made up vice chair, didn't we, last year or something?
I think we did.
Yeah, it's not in the charter, so it's not a valid position.
All right, we need a chair and a secretary. That makes.
I'll nominate Bob Vanderslice for chair.
Second.
Third.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 That sounded unanimous to me.
Yep.
Is
Yep.
there anyone that's not voting aye? All right, secretary. Crickets.
Any motions for a nomination for secretary?
Wow. I didn't expect this. I'm a chair. I don't think I can make a motion.
Well, anybody I think can nominate.
Well, as we look at our new talent that's joined, I want to welcome Dana, Alex, and Josie. The way we had been doing secretary required everyone here to step up and function in that role on a rotating basis. So we're now looking at secretary as like very little work because we'll be using AI. So it's if If any of our newest folks would like to get involved, there's certainly room, and everyone else here has already had to do it for the past couple of years.
So my question is, this is Josie, are we committed to going to every single one of these meetings as vice chair?
No,
Oh, nobody is. Nobody is.
no.
Time commitment issue for me more than anything else. When I step up to something, I want to make sure I can fill it.
Yeah, no, I mean, the secretary now is going to be making sure there's distribution of minutes, including to the town clerk, who reminded me that we haven't submitted minutes to her in years.
Correct.
And so she's gonna actually take this recording, throw it through AI, and make the minutes, because that's the one that's very time consuming. But I wouldn't be opposed to it, but I can't nominate myself.
Oh, well, I'll nominate.
Oh, I'll nominate Josie Reese.
I'll nominate Josie.
Secretary.
Yes. Second.
All right, so,
All right, Bob, I guess I'm going to learn from you, fast and furious.
all right, all in favor of Josie has been nominated and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
One other thing too, when you're a secretary, Josie, is
Now you're telling.
there's a roll when it's a roll call vote, the secretary calls the roll.
Yeah.
And asks for the votes.
So I am familiar with secretary. I've done it for corporations and things before. I just wanted to make sure the time commitment I could put to it. That's it. But thank you, Dana.
Josie, thanks for doing that. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tag, you're next year. I'm letting you know.
Oh, with that said, can I make a motion to accept Robert's Rules of Order as the way we run our meetings, which we have done in the past, but just as a formality in the minutes?
Yep, you certainly may. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right. Again,
Do you have to do that every year? I thought that was sort of wired in somehow.
Yeah, it's a standard.
With a roll call vote for the Robert's Rules?
You want to do a roll call?
We can practice. Josie, you want to call the roll?
Sure, I'd like to do a roll call for using Robert's rules on a consistent basis at each meeting. Do I hear a nomination? Do I hear somebody?
Oh, yeah, the motion's been made.
Made and seconded.
So let's do a roll call. Start with you, Bob.
Aye.
And I have to put everybody here. Hold on. I apologize. I have to put you on. All right. So Dan, you're next.
Aye.
Dana.
Aye.
Melanie.
Aye.
Barbara.
Aye.
Debbie.
Aye.
I saw Alex on.
Aye.
Who else was on, please? Okay, passes.
And
Yep.
Josie,
Yes,
I'm going to do one small thing for somebody else. Deborah,
Deborah. Thank
not
you.
Debbie.
Thank you. Thank you, Barbara.
I apologize, Deborah.
No problem.
So I guess the motion passes. Is it premature to offer a motion to adjourn?
I don't think so. There's no members of the public, so we don't have a public forum. So I think that's in order.
I'll
Second?
second that.
I'll third it.
There we go.
I guess quick roll call vote on
Roll
that.
call?
Sorry, Josie.
Yep, roll call. Go ahead, Bob.
All right, I'm doing this in Zoom order here. So Barbara,
So Barbara, you're next.
Aye.
Deborah,
Aye.
Melanie,
Aye.
Alex.
Aye.
Did I see Tim on? I'm sorry, did I see Tim? No.
No.
Okay. And Dana.
Aye.
And did I miss anyone?
I'll vote aye. I think you missed me.
Okay. I thought Dan. Oh, you're always second. Come on. All right, Dan. All right.
Aye.
all right, so unanimous vote in favor. We are adjourned. Dana, you have your
Hey.
hand up, or I don't know. Are you hand up, or are you saying good night?
I'm saying goodbye.
And we got a lot.
Thanks, Dana.
We got a lot done.
Bye,
Got a lot
everybody.
done tonight. All good. Lot done.
All right.
Good
Good night.
everyone.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. Have a
Good night,
everyone.
everybody.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Allison.
Bye. Good
Ashley.
night.
Good
Have a
night.
good
Have a
night,
good
Allison.
vacation.
Thank you.